Future leaders, welcome to Leadership One-on-One. We are going to talk about professionalism in the workplace in today's class. Our lesson plan is going to focus around one of the most effective ways of communication. We're going to talk about the various styles in effective communication. So class, today we have a couple of guests with us. Dr. Gina Marks and also Dr. Angelo Letizio will be joining us, and they may share some insights in what they believe effective communication is as well. But to begin with, we're going to talk about standards. Commitment to a student's knowledge and understanding of the subject matter is one standard that we'll focus on. And we're also going to follow through with examples and application of the skill set learned or further developed. We'll talk about curriculum skills and concepts. For example, communication flow within departments, across colleges, and within the university. We'll talk about the knowledge of when an effective communication skill is used throughout the university. And we'll talk about application of the effective communication skill set and working with groups, career guidance, and community involvement. One of the things we'll also do in today's lesson, we'll do a little bit of active learning or applied learning. An example of that is we'll divide into small groups of 3, and individually you will compile a list of the 4 most commonly used forms of communication. And for further reference, you can turn to page 2 of your PowerPoint handout. Secondly, after you compile your list of the most often used forms of communication, you'll prioritize the styles of communication that the group believes are the most commonly used. And for this, you can refer to pages 4 and 5 of your PowerPoint handout. And then after you prioritize, you'll define the styles of communication. Fourth, you will demonstrate examples of when to use each form of communication compiled on the list, stating why that style of communication would be most effective in any real-world environment. So we're also going to talk about predictable and unpredictable because those instances always take place within a workplace. For example, an unpredictable example is when you're responding to an email through written communication, yet the receiver of the email perceives the message completely different than its original intention. The student with effective communication skills or the worker with effective communication skills recognizes the content of the message as misinterpreted by the receiver based on the receiver's response to the email. So then you'll immediately change the style of communication from written to verbal simply by picking up the telephone and clarifying the message and its intent. You'll see an example of this on page 6 of your PowerPoint handout. Moving forward, we'll talk about some of the disciplines. For example, one of those disciplines is reading, using visionary communication skills to interpret a message, communicate it with written communication skills. We'll also talk about knowledge of the effective communication skills needed to address any real-world example. And we'll talk about the application, which will determine the style of communication to be used just to maintain and enhance effective communication in a real-world example. Now, you know we're going to need some products, right, class? All right, one of those products that we're going to use is a computer. We'll also use an internet service browser. It can be any one of your choice, Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Google Chrome. And we'll talk about the internet products that we're going to use as well. We'll use Microsoft Word and Yahoo Mail. And we'll also discuss the criteria for a successful product. In today's lesson, we'll talk about internet access. The internet browser must be an active aid to deliver any technically communicated message. And Wi-Fi capability. There must be a strong signal or an aid to help transmit an electronic message. And we'll also talk about resources that are going to be needed for this lesson. Some of the resources, a dictionary, most commonly used form, which will provide clear direction and an explanation for the 4 primary communication styles. By the way, we can also use dictionary.com. Examples and demonstration of each communication style used in a learning or a professional environment. It's going to be a fun class today, lots of active learning, lots of applied learning. So let's get started.